Hello and welcome back for the next series in my length of series here. We're up to human engineering. Now, humans are complex, as are all living organisms. We carry information from generation to generation, built on a coding system from our DNA, and DNA people have heard of but may not understand it fully. It's to do with a cluster of information, and you stretch it out. It looks like a helix, something like this. So it might look like that inside your head. And then you pull it out, and you've got this thing called a helix system. And it's got these little ladders on here. And it's DNA. In fact, if we were to iron that out straight, it can look like a ladder. And there are bonds on either side of this, amino acids and phosphate ions, everything that holds that together all the way around here. And in here you've got these letters called A, G, C and T. Now these particular bits of information don't matter at the moment. What we do have in there though is that we have an engineering system here that your body works off. And it's this information inside the DNA that determines the colour of your hair, your skin, your eyes, your build, your body, your brain, and even holds information from right back, way past your mother, right back. Because you came through her, she produced you. Mums produce babies, and they develop and develop and develop children. So you've got a history coming right through there in the DNA, which comes from the mother and the father. But the mother holds a great record of it, which is why even to some extremes, you may have even heard of this, that you'll have a child, for example, that might get very, very sick or is ill in hospital for some other reason, like they're comatose. And when they come out of it, they wake up and they can speak a foreign language, never having been aware of or heard of it before in the family, the parents, but they speak a fluent foreign language. Where did that come from? This comes down from the fact that you have disrupted the DNA and highlighted or encouraged and boosted up some of this DNA which is locked up in memory. Now each piece of DNA, even though it's microscopic, and you've got billions of these things inside your body, if you were to stretch one out, just one, it's about 1.2 meters tall or long. 1.2 meters for this tiny, tiny thing. And it's got about 250 million ladder steps on it. And each of those pieces of ladder step is a communication or a record or an engineering template of what you're like when it builds your body. And it all starts when mum and dad get together and produce Junior. Baby is born. So you need two parts to come together to produce the offspring. As the baby grows up, the baby gathers information, as do you and I, from all around it. Now I've got a brain here. Well, it's my drawing of a brain. You've got a left and right hemisphere. And right here, your base brain. This is your limbic system. Limbic system is where all of your emotional content and all the chemistry that takes place inside the body works from. And then your cerebral cortex is developed after that. That means your thinking ability and your ability to do certain things all work in this other part of your brain. That's attached directly basically to your spinal cord, which then goes out to your body. So here's your limbic system, here's your brain. I've got these little firing stars like fireworks going off inside here. The brain's alive and active. There are no feelings inside your brain, yet they can anaesthetize part of your scalp if you've got a problem in here. And they can then take that piece of the scalp off and then cut a piece of the skull out. And they go inside your brain and you can be completely awake, sitting in the operator or lying down the operating table, and the doctor is talking to you whilst he's operating on your brain and you are fully conscious. And what they're doing is they're telling you that inside here there are no nerve endings. It's almost like nerve beginnings. Once the nerves in here are attached to and go down the spinal column, everything down here are nerve endings. So when chemistry up inside here is kicked off for some reason, fear for example, causes the body to run. You might have an emotional attraction, causes you to want to go towards something. And all this comes on from the brain, through the system here, down through the body, which I put it down here as like massive nerve systems. Your heart's sitting in here, it's a big one. And I've got this line going down to your intestinal tract because there are more nerves and the biggest collection in your body outside of your brain. So your brain's one big nerve mass, but all the nerve endings around here, which is why when you get information in at times, you have this thing called a gut feel, or I don't like this, or I do like that. An inspiration, a thought comes to you, and it just basically you can feel it in the stomach. If we're happy, we might call it the butterfly feeling, or the dread feeling, and it can make people sick. So this particular part here is why I've got it highlighted. So this part, and this part here are major. The rest of it is what makes you walk around, do things, work your hands, etc. So in the form of engineering, all built up from this DNA stuff up over here, makes you who you are. Now, I just want to point out here, we have sight, sound, taste, touch and smell. Now, we have 5 senses on the body. Some people say we have a 6th sense. Now that 6th sense, I'll call it real, but it's not the way that we look at it. It's that feeling. Now where does feeling come from? Well, we have a system here called touch, sense of touch. Now, and on the outside of your skin you have hair. Have you ever thought, why does man have more hair on his head than he does on the rest of his body? Apart from Robin Williams, deceased now. He was one hairy guy. But in general, people have more hair on their head. Why? There's a reason for it. These are antennae. In other words, they're made of a material that works off, the frequency is of, I've just forgot the term of it now. It's not cyclical, it's another frequency. It might click into my head shortly. But what this particular hair strands on your body do, they pick up frequency from the outside like aerials, send it through the 2 layers you've got on your skin, that's your touch and goes back to your brain. Now because the information's come from waves of energy, a bit like 5G or anything else, it hits you and it goes up into your brain and you're now getting information coming from somewhere, but you're not quite sure what it is. But you have a gut feel. Or as my little person here is, a gut feel. And then this gut feel comes up here and you've got question marks going on saying, I wonder what that is. I just had a shudder like somebody had walked over my grave. Or, why am I thinking about Barry right now? I don't know, just crossed my mind. And next thing you know, the phone rings. And Barry's ringing you. And you think, I was just thinking about you. That happened because he was sending information through his brain, body radiating out energy like 5G, and you were picking it up on your skin, which is a different form of communication. Then you picked up the telephone or the cell phone and started talking to Barry. All this is natural. It's a natural phenomena. So when you start to look at what's going on inside the body, it's scientific. You don't have a 6th sense. You have your 5 senses creating your 6th sense and maybe even other senses beyond that. Because you can only see with your eyes and your ears and feel things, and you actually see with your hands. In the dark, you start fumbling around for something, you're looking for my keys. You can feel the keys and you can see the keys in your mind, but your hands have converted it into an image in here. So all of your senses create images of recognition in the brain. So if I was to say then, sorry, body just fell over. If you're going through life and you are developing along the way and being at all times given and sent information from others and from your parents, apart from the genetic engineering, but the environment that you grew up in is impressing itself upon you into the thing called the amygdala. There's 2 of them, amygdalae. Now I've done a bit of a drawing here inside your head, and if that's your nose and your eyes are there, your amygdala and your spinal column's coming in about here. Inside here you've got your amygdala there and your hippocampus there, and you've got your your other glands up in here in the chemistry and the limbic system, thyroid down here. And this particular part, your animalistic part, is literally your survival mechanism. Your body's learning what life is all about. So if you're brought up in squalor, you're brought up in wealth. You're brought up in nature, you're brought up in different aspects of life. That to you is normal. Stepping outside of that is abnormal to you, and your body has to adjust to that. So if most people are in poverty, guess what most children are going to do? They're going to replicate poverty until somebody smart enough says, this child is going to have a great deal more knowledge. I know a particular couple that were friends, well I say were friends of mine, they are friends of mine, but they're in another country now. And South Africans. And what blew me away about this particular couple was that the little girl they had was very shy, she was very reserved, and she was just a little one. But over the years I came to know them, the mother taught the child at home with different videos and different songs and different languages and different all sorts. The child now is multilingual. They're not bilingual. They can speak about, I think, 8 languages fluently by the time that she was 5 or 6 years old. Amazing. So I have a great deal of time for people who teach children the right way. That child now could go out and get a world of jobs and careers and speak languages across the world. Very, very valuable knowledge, and I have to thank the mother for that. So, that was Willem and Kami. So if you hear this, Willem and Kami, I'm talking about you guys. I'm very impressed. And with the rest of your family. So, by giving people in the human engineering the basics, which are your mechanics, and feeding that mind and tuning it and programming it so that it becomes more efficient and effective, you can have a person that can go through life understanding a great deal more. More knowledge produces more things that you'll understand. There's a saying that I heard once which I thought was quite good. How can a man, or woman, but how can a man escape from a prison if he doesn't know he's in one? If you think, I'm in a prison, really? I can get out. But you're imprisoned maybe by finance. You're imprisoned by the things that you think you can't do. I could never go to the moon. I could never fly an aeroplane. I could never become a doctor. But somebody who says, I can become a doctor, I want to become a doctor, and it's on their mind all the time, very likely could become that doctor they were thinking about. So the limitations are almost self-imposed, but conditioned by other people. The work that I do here, which I'm going to go into the literology next, numerology and translation, these two are the same, by the way. I'm speaking to you in a language, and I could use 911, 2 numbers, and that means the Twin Towers are coming down, 911. So each letter of the alphabet, the words that we make up, each number, the combinations of numbers, like 2020. I said last year that enough. I'm going to expand on this kind of stuff, which I will shortly when I get down to here, and 2020. This literally represents, in words, double death. Double death, death, death. And I'll explain that when I get down to it. So that's a really interesting one to hear about. And that's how I made the prediction. This year, 2020, was going to be crap for the world, financially, health-wise, and troubles around the world. And it is exactly that. And I predicted it last year when I thought about it in 2019, October the 20th, when I wrote a story. Go and find it on that site. Anyway, coming back then, if you would like to develop your brain with your human engineering to an area where you can now convert a 2% success rate to a 98% success rate, it can be done. All you have to do is start to listen up a bit further and then find out for yourself. If you would like, I'm happy to teach you. I had some books here before. I'll just pick those up. I train people in all sorts of stuff here. So everything about language, letters, numbers, brains, success, languaging, thinking, and listening. And once you've got those down pat, as they call it, your life will change. Stick around for the next video, which will be about literology and thinking. This is where it gets fascinating. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.